The hype for a new Avengers movie officially begins. Hey guys, Caleb here from CDBS Studios, and if you are unaware, Avengers Doomsday has officially gone into production. And to celebrate the start of it, a couple days ago this week, Marvel did this 5-hour live stream where they slowly revealed chairs, which slowly told us some of the cast members that we can expect to see in the movie. They revealed 27 confirmed characters. So I thought it'd be fun to do a short little video where I went through all 27 of the members and ranked them on how excited I am to see them in Doomsday and how maybe I'm not excited to see them. Of course, this video is completely my own opinion, and if you want to take a shot at the 27 cast members and rank how excited you are to see each of them, I'd be interested to see that in the comments section down below. But without further ado, let's get into the ranking. Starting off our list at number 27, I have Namor. Now, I know this is a little controversial, but I'm a little confused why Namor is in this movie. Not gonna lie, I really liked him in Wakanda Forever. In fact, he's one of my favorite MCU villains, and he's a really fun character, and I think he's gonna do well in the movie. Part of me just is a little confused why he's here, because, well, this also comes from the fact that we don't know the story of Doomsday yet, so we don't know how it's gonna play into it, and when I look at all of the things I think Doomsday is gonna be, Namor kind of doesn't really factor into any of that. I mean, unless Talokan plays some huge role in the plot, that would make sense why Namor's in the movie. Maybe if he has some plot with Shuri, that could be really interesting. But as it stands right now, out of all 27 characters they introduced, Namor is the one character I feel like I don't really understand why he's in the movie, and I think he's going to be great in the movie. Don't get me wrong. I don't think there's any bad cast member that's in these 27, but he's just the one that I have the most concerns for, and it makes me unable to put him any higher than the bottom slot because I can at least make a case for why every other character is going to be in this movie. And the only reason I can say I think Namor will even have a role in the story is if Talokan or Wakanda are somehow involved majorly in the plot. Moving up to number 26, I have M'Baku. Now, this is another character that I'm a little bit interested on what they're going to do with him. Again, kind of like Namor, I don't know why he's in this movie. I mean, unless Wakanda plays some big role in the plot, then I get it. But since right now we still have no idea what this movie is even going to be about, I'm a little confused. I mean, it's obvious that now he's going to be the king of Wakanda. He's probably going to have some connection with Shuri. So if Wakanda and Talokan play some huge role in the plot, I'm cool for M'Baku to be there. But he just feels like one of those background MCU characters, especially like if we look back to Infinity War and Endgame, he's part of a very small portion of the Battle of Wakanda, as he's more or less a background character, and then he's a background character for the Battle of Earth. So it seems like he's more of a background character in these big team-up movies, so that's kind of why I'm hesitant to put him a little higher, because there's a very solid chance he's in this movie for maybe like 5 minutes of screen time. But as it stands, I do think M'Baku is really cool, and I can at least make some case for him to be in this movie, which is the only reason he's not last place. At number 25, I have a little bit of a controversial pick, Ant-Man. Now, don't get me wrong, Ant-Man is one of my favorite characters in the MCU. I love Paul Rudd's version of the character, and in most of my MCU hero ranking lists, I put Ant-Man near the top because I just really enjoy him as a character. But going into Doomsday, in a way I kind of question his presence. Like, back when this movie was all about Kang, I had a very strong push for Ant-Man being in the movie because I could see, okay, he's the only Avenger that's dealt with Kang, so he can be the kind of one to warn the other Avengers of his presence, kind of like Bruce does in Infinity War. But now that the movie switched to being about Doctor Doom, I kind of don't see why Ant-Man's here. I mean, I get it, he's one of our original Avengers, he's one of the Avengers that was part of the Infinity Saga, so of course he's going to be in the movie, but it also stems from the fact that I think Ant-Man's been losing a little steam lately. I am part of the club that does kind of believe that he should have died in Quantumania, which would have been a great way to establish Kang's power. So going into this movie, I kind of am a little burned out on the Ant-Man character because I think we're one movie past where I think he should have lasted. Don't get me wrong, I think he's gonna do great in the movie. Like I said, I don't think there's any bad actors that are in this movie. I'm just a little concerned for the Ant-Man character that he's either gonna be someone they kill off quickly, or he's going to feel like out of place in the overall story. Next up at number 24, I have Ghost. Now, this feels a little now, to be honest, it feels a little unfair to rank certain characters on this list, mainly the Fantastic Four and the X and the Thunderbolts, mainly because we haven't seen them really yet. Like, yes, we've seen all of the Thunderbolts members already in previous movies, but we haven't seen how they're going to be interpreted in the Thunderbolts, which also, huge spoilers, Marvel. You just revealed that every Thunderbolt is making it, and Fantastic Four is making it out of their movies, which we already knew it probably was going to happen, but whatever. So, Ghost is a very interesting case for me where she is one of my less interesting, she's one of the less interesting Marvel villains, as she was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and she was one of those more low-stakes villains that didn't have a lot going on with her, and it meant that the character is meant to be a low-stakes villain. I mean, obviously, they wanted Ant-Man and the Wasp to have lower stakes, because it's meant to take place around the same time as Infinity War. But Ghost is not my favorite part of Ant-Man and the Wasp, so I can't really put her too much higher, because we know she's going to have some role. We know she's on the Thunderbolts, so after Thunderbolts comes out in July, I should be able to re-rank her, maybe depending on this, a little higher. But as it stands right now, Ghost is on the lower hand of the list, because the only thing I have to go off of is Ant-Man and the Wasp, and she is not my favorite part of that movie. So right now, I'm not super excited to see her in Doomsday, but Thunderbolts can very easily change my mind in a couple months. At number 23, I have Sentry. Now, Sentry falls into a very similar boat as Ghost, but for kind of the less reasons that we've not met Sentry yet. Sentry is going to be introduced in Thunderbolts, and that's his first appearance, and then he's going to be in Doomsday. So it feels really weird to talk about Sentry, because he's one of the only characters on this list where we know genuinely nothing about him. Of course, we've seen the trailers and all of the stuff Marvel's revealed to us, but until Thunderbolts come out, I can't really put Sentry any higher than right here, because I don't know if I'm going to like his characterization in the Thunderbolts, and if it's going to be like, oh yeah, let's go, let's get him in Doomsday, or if it's going to be like, I guess I can kind of do without him. So when Thunderbolts comes out, maybe I'll revisit this ranking and we can put Sentry a little higher, but as it stands right now, we literally do not know anything about Sentry apart from the stuff Marvel has shown us. So, for that reason, I can't really put Sentry any higher on my excitement meter. But I do think he looks cool, and the actor they picked is actually really, really cool as well. At number 22, I have our first X-Men reveal, Nightcrawler. It's so cool that they are bringing some of those OG X-Men actors back for this movie, and it makes me really, really excited that we're finally getting to see them again. On the other hand, Nightcrawler is the one I'm the least interested to see. We haven't seen this version of Nightcrawler that they picked, which is specifically the older version that we saw in X2, X-Men United. He is not my favorite part of X-Men United. The actor that they chose is the one that did it in that movie. He's only ever done that one movie. So I don't really have a lot to go off of from excitement. I'm excited to see him again, and I love Nightcrawler as a character, but it falls into the part that he's not my favorite part of X2. So unless he's like just one of the generic X-Men that's just on a team together and each X-Men maybe gets like 5 minutes of screen time, maybe he would be higher. But as it stands now, we also don't know the plot of Doomsday, so I can't really put Nightcrawler too higher because he's just one of the X-Men characters I'm so happy to see him again, but he's also not like the X-Men. If I had to pick from any of the Fox X-Men characters I really wanted to see return, he would probably not have been in the top 10. At number 21, I have Professor X. Now, this is a very interesting character to talk about for this ranking because technically he's already been in the MCU in the form of we had one of his variants be played by Patrick Stewart as well in Multiverse of Madness. So we've kind of already seen how the MCU handles handles Professor X, but it seems like because they're bringing all of the OG X-Men actors back, or at least most of them, it's going to be the one from Earth 1005. But in that state, there's a little bit of hesitation for that because, like I'm going to mention later with a few of the other X-Men, is that we don't know where they're pulling these X-Men from. Are they going to be the 1005 version of the X-Men that we went through the Fox trilogy with? Or are they alternate versions of the X-Men that are just played by the same actors? Because there's just a lot of concern of how they're going to get the X-Men in this movie. And from what it looks like, because it's all the old actors and we are probably going to get Deadpool, Wolverine, and that eventually in this movie or Secret Wars, it's probably going to be the 1005 X-Men. But Professor X is very interesting because he's died already in the Fox X-Men franchise 3 times, 4 if you want to count the Multiverse of Madness death. So it makes me a little concerned to see him in this movie because I'm worried they're just going to have him die again. And then there's also the Fox X-Men timeline to consider, where if they pull the Fox X-Men from the present time we saw in Deadpool and Wolverine, it's the Professor X before the events of Logan, which means he cannot die in Doomsday because he has to go back to 10005 to die in Logan. So there's just a little bit of concern with Professor X. I think it's going to be awesome to see Patrick Stewart again because I loved his version of Professor X, but there are a couple concerns that do keep me from putting him much higher on the list. At number 20, we have Beast. Now, Beast is another interesting case because there's a couple caveats to his character. Is that we know Kelsey Grammer's coming back, which is awesome. I'm so happy that we're getting him back. And he showed up as a more comic accurate version of Beast in the Marvel's post-credit scene. So he was already established in the MCU, in the whole MCU equation before all this stuff happened. So he's a little more on the more likely side. But that also comes with multiple caveats to the plan. Like, is that mean that we're going to see that the universe Monica ended up on as our main X-Men? And does that mean it's not the 10005 X-Men? Or did Monica just end up on 10005? We don't know. And that also comes with the fact that I can't put Beast too much higher because while he's already established, which gives him a couple extra points because it's not like the movie just pulled him out of nowhere, I'm a little concerned, like all the other X-Men characters, of how we're getting him in this movie. And is it going to be the same Beast that we grew up with in the X-Men trilogy? Or is it going to be the Beast from a completely different timeline? And there's also the small caveat that because of the nature of the X-Men franchise, Nicholas Hoult got more movies to be Beast in than Kelsey Grammer got. So it kind of also leads to the sense of when I think Fox Beast, my mind always goes to the Nicholas Hoult portrayal of the character, not Kelsey Grammer. So hopefully I'll be able to distinguish those when we get to Doomsday. But as it stands right now, I'm happy he's coming back. I do just have those couple of concerns. At number 19, I have Gambit. Now, I am so happy Channing Tatum's getting another chance to play Gambit. I was so mad when he got his movie canceled all the way back, and when he came back in Deadpool and Wolverine, that was the one of the few cameos where I actively screamed in the theater because I was so happy to see him in the role. But there's also the thing that we don't know how he's going to appear in Doomsday. We did see that at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine in the post-credit scene, he did get saved by a Doctor Strange portal, so it's probably going to be the same Gambit that appears in Doomsday. But then there's also the small problem I have with that is that Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine is meant to be a reflection of the Channing Tatum Gambit movie that never happened because, well, if you know the story, the original idea was the Void was going to be development hell, so that's why only certain characters are there, like Elektra, Blade, Human Torch from movies that got canceled, movies from sequels that got canceled, and then Channing Tatum is born there because he never got his movie. So when we first see him in the movie, his accent isn't very good. Like they never finished his dialogue. His costume and hair look like he's a toy taken fresh out of the box. So he's very much meant to be a joke character, as this is Channing Tatum playing the Gambit he would have played in his movie, except because we never finished the movie, the character is not finished. And I feel like if that's the route they take the Gambit character for Doomsday, the joke is going to get old, and it's going to make me not as interested in Channing Tatum Gambit anymore because the joke of him not getting a movie is overplayed and overdone. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, if they're going to retcon that, oh yeah, Channing Tatum's Gambit was always part of this X-Men team that we're going to see. I don't know, so I can't really put Gambit too much higher, but assuming it's the one from the Void, I'm happy to see him again. I just hope that they don't just keep playing out the joke of this is a Gambit from a movie that never ended up happening. At number 18, I have Mystique. Now, Mystique falls into a very similar category as Beast, where just based on assuming that because of the actor and all the other stuff, that this is the same Mystique from Earth 10005, the Fox X-Men franchise, I actually liked Jennifer Lawrence's portrayal of the character more than the original actresses. And that might just be a hot take, but I actually liked the way Jennifer Lawrence took the character more than I did the original, because I feel like it also comes down to the fact that the original actress and Mystique in general didn't have much to do in the Fox trilogy and the original X-Men trilogy, unlike Jennifer Lawrence, who got a lot more to do in the prequel trilogy. But so there's that fact. But then there's also the concern that comes from her specifically is that depending on how is she in this movie? If we take the idea I established earlier, is that we're gonna pull the Fox X-Men from 10005 during the present time that Deadpool and Wolverine is in, which is 2024 of the Fox X-Men timeline, Mystique can't be there because she dies in Dark Phoenix. So that's my big concern about Mystique, is how are they getting her back? Because it can't be the 10005 Mystique because it's the older actress, but the Earth 10005 Mystique is dead. So this has to be either some alternate Mystique, or they're gonna retcon Dark Phoenix and say, oh yeah, Mystique is still alive. So that's my big concern when it comes to Mystique. I think it's awesome we're getting Mystique again, but there are some small caveats that do make me question how she's going to appear in the movie. And then from that, it makes me a little concerned about the character in general. At number 17, I have Magneto. When Ian McKellen's name popped up on those chairs, I was so excited. I love Ian McKellen's portrayal of Magneto. He was like the perfect actor to pick to play that role, and it made the Fox X-Men trilogy so enjoyable because he's so good as that character, and seeing him again in Doomsday is going to be so fun. I can already tell. Once again, there are the small caveats. We don't know how they're going to bring him back, so that does make me question a little bit, but he doesn't have as much caveats as the rest of the Fox X-Men do, so I'm really excited to see Magneto again, and I really hope they do Ian McKellen justice because he so much deserves it. Give him a comic accurate suit, please, Marvel. And at number 16, the X-Men I'm most excited to see again is Cyclops. James Marsden, I always felt, got done so dirty in the original Fox X-Men trilogy because of the fact that the original trilogy wanted to push Wolverine so hard as its face, Cyclops got nothing to do in those films. He either was a background character who only existed to butt heads with Logan, or he got an off-screen death. I was so mad that they gave James Marsden nothing to do, and when his name showed up, I was so excited. And honestly, if in Avengers Doomsday they have him show up in that comic-accurate suit and say, "To me, my X-Men," that will be peak cinema, movie instant 10 out of 10. I'm so excited to see that character again, but once again, I can't put him any higher because of the small caveats with bringing the Fox X-Men back, so we'll see how they handle him, but if they do this character right, I will so give this movie a 10 out of 10 because I have been waiting for a good James Marsden Cyclops. At number 15, I have Falcon. Now, Falcon was kind of a, yeah, duh, he's going to be in this movie chair because we saw at the end of Falcon, at the end of Brave New World, that Sam recruited him onto this new Avengers he's building. And I'm happy to see him again. I do think he's fun. He was fun in Brave New World. But there are the small things. I think Marvel's still trying to figure out the dynamic they want this new Falcon to have with Sam, like how Sam had his dynamic with Steve. I think Marvel's still trying to figure out what that dynamic wants to be because this character really is more of a background character in Falcon and Winter Soldier and then more of a major character in Brave New World. So I'm excited to see it again, but he also falls in the category where he's one of those characters I don't think Marvel is fully locked in yet as they know how to do him. So that makes me a little nervous. I hope he's going to be good in the film. He's probably going to have a lot of good scenes with Falcon, aka Sam Wilson. So it's probably going to be really fun having the movie, but he was one of the few characters where I was like, yeah, duh, he's in this movie. Who you showing next? Kind of thing. At number 14, I have Red Guardian. Once again, we have another character that has a big chance to change in a couple of months because he's another Thunderbolt. So we're going to see how Marvel does him in Thunderbolts, but I do really enjoy him. He's one of the better parts of Black Widow. I really love David Harbour, and there's a lot to enjoy about his character, especially with his relationship with Elena. But there are certain aspects, especially from what they've shown in the Thunderbolts trailer. He's going to be one of those more joke kind of characters where he delivers kind of occasional comedy bits, a la like Groot in the Guardians movies. So there's a little concern there that he's going to just be like the butt of the jokes when we get into Doomsday. But I am still really excited to see him again, and there is a very big chance that his spot could change in a couple of months once we see Thunderbolts. At number 13, I have U.S. Agent. Now, this is another character very similar to Red Guardian. He's probably going to change in a couple of months, or he has the chance to change after Thunderbolts comes out. But as it stands right now, John Walker, U.S. Agent, was one of the better parts of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I have admitted I'm not the biggest fan of that show. John Walker is one of the few parts of the show that I really do enjoy, which is weird because when I first watched the show, I hated John Walker, And then I realized after the show finished, I'm like, oh, that's the point. You're supposed to not like him. So he did go up a couple spots because of that reasoning. And Marvel was so good at writing him in that original show that if they can keep that up for Doomsday and Thunderbolts, he might become one of my new favorite MCU characters. But as it stands right now, I did really enjoy him. It's also really hard to rank him because he's in one of Marvel's TV shows, and then he's in a movie that hasn't released yet, and then he's in Doomsday. So I can't really put him any higher because I don't know if Marvel's going to keep up that great writing for him or if they're going to change his personality. So as of now, really excited to see him again, but there are other characters I am a little more excited for. At number 12, I have The Thing. Now, again, like the Thunderbolts, this is another character that has very big chance to change because we've not seen Fantastic Four first steps yet, so I don't know how MCU is going to characterize The Thing. But unlike other characters we haven't seen yet, like Sentry, for instance, I'm really excited to see The Thing again. I love usually how The Thing is portrayed in the X-Men films. The actor I really enjoy, the design I really like, the more comic accurate Rocky design, and from just the general stuff we've seen about Fantastic Four, this character looks like he's going to be a blast in that movie, which makes me hope that he's going to be a really good part of Doomsday. But as it stands, he can't go any higher because we haven't seen him in action yet. So there's a very big chance in July when Fantastic Four release that he might jump down a few spots or jump up a few spots depending on if I like him in the movie. And for pretty much the exact same reason is Mr. Fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, all four Fantastic Four members are literally right next to each other for the exact same reasons of we haven't seen them in action yet, we don't know how the MCU is going to characterize them. It's honestly just a personal preference of which Fantastic Four members I like better based on the comics. And I traditionally like Mr. Fantastic a little better than The Thing. I find him a little more intriguing, and I think Pedro Pascal is going to do a great job as the character. I know a lot of people are fighting that casting choice. I think it's actually pretty good, and hopefully Marvel can do something really good with him. Also, there's the small part that he also is one of the few. He's the only Fantastic Four member that has a huge relationship with Doctor Doom. So if played right, this can go amazing in in Doomsday. But as it stands right now, Mr. Fantastic is going to take this spot right here. Next up is Invisible Woman. For pretty much all of the exact same reasons. The only reason that she is above the others is because I generally like Invisible Woman a little bit more than Mr. Fantastic. And also, Vanessa Kirby is I already know is gonna do an amazing job as this character. I've been watching some of the things she's been in recently, and she is a phenomenal actress. And assuming the MCU does Fantastic Four justice for once, she can easily be the best part of Fantastic Four First Steps, and honestly, probably one of the best parts of of Doomsday. But like all the others, she can't go any higher because I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't know if that's gonna be right. And then she might jump around spots based on that movie's release. And at number 9, Human Torch. Human Torch is my favorite Fantastic Four member. I always love his portrayals in the comics. He's one of my favorite characters, and even in the previous iterations of this character in like the movies and stuff, he usually is my favorite part of those Fantastic Four movies. And I love Joseph Quinn. I loved him in Stranger Things. I loved him in Gladiator 2. He's a really good actor, and I know a lot of people hated his casting for some reason when he got cast. I really liked it. I think he's going to do a great job encapsulating that childlike personality that Johnny Storm genuinely has. So, assuming Fantastic Four does the character right, he could be the best part of that movie and probably one of the best parts of Doomsday, but I can't put him above any other characters because I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't know if he's going to go up or down. At number 8, I have Doctor Doom. Yeah, it was a little obvious that Marvel put his name in the trailer. I mean, obviously they ended with Robert Downey Jr. That was just kind of obvious. And once again, he kind of lives in this limbo spot where we don't really know much about the character yet because Marvel's keeping lots of the story about him under wraps. The main thing we know is that Doctor Doom, main villain of Doomsday and Secret Wars, Robert Downey Jr. is playing him. And that's the most of what we know. We've got some tidbits that his story will have something to do with the Iron Man death in Endgame, and maybe there'll be some small things they throw in here and there for good measure. But as it stands, I actually do think assuming they do it right, Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom, especially after Iron Man, can go really, really well. And it, I think, has the chance to be probably one of my new favorite Marvel villains. I mean, they did a lot of other villains really, really well. So hopefully they can do this. And once again, it falls into that limbo that we have actually not seen this character in action at all yet because he's not been in any movies, any post-credit scenes, anything. So I can't put him any higher than this because he's one of those characters that I'm like, do I like him or do I not? I genuinely can't tell right now. At number 7, I have Black Panther. I love Shuri. She's a real blast in Wakanda Forever. She's always been a blast. I loved her in all of the Black Panther movies, and I think there's going to have a lot to go with her. And I mean, obviously, she's in this movie. She's the new Black Panther. Probably we're going to get a Black Panther 3 at some point, so it makes sense we need to keep up with her story. But very similar to what I said about other characters, it feels, I don't know how they're going to integrate her into the plot. Like, if Wakanda and Talokan do play a major role in the plot with Namor and M'Baku already being cast in the movie, maybe she'll have some huge role to play and it'll be a lot of fun to see her. Or she'll just be one of the other Avengers, or she'll be something. That's the other problem with some of these top characters, is that I generally don't know how to rank them because we don't know anything about the movie's plot. So I don't know if, she'll be important to the plot, so I'm happy to see a lot of her, or if it's going to be like a sense of, I want to see a lot of her, or do I not want to see a lot of her? It's hard to tell. But I love Shuri. I love the actress. I love pretty much everything about the character. Hopefully Doomsday does her well. And yeah. At number 6, I have Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes himself. And this is another very interesting character to talk about, especially right now, because he does have a very big chance to change again. Once Thunderbolts comes out, we'll get to see how he's handled. But as it stands, Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, has been with us since the start of the MCU. Well, not the start, since Captain America in 2011, but since then he's been basically a hard center of the MCU, having a ton of things to do, and he's just been one of those better characters Marvel has come up with. I love Sebastian Stan as an actor, and there's a lot to enjoy about Winter Soldier. My big concern with him mainly is that he was really underutilized in Infinity War and Endgame. And that's the last 2 Avengers movies the Russos did. So my big concern with Bucky Barnes is that they're not going to use him a ton, especially because they didn't use him a lot in Infinity War and Endgame. He's like only part of the Battle of Wakanda and then the Battle of Earth. He's like not in any of the rest of those movies. And I hope maybe him being kind of the leader of the Thunderbolts maybe puts him in a more prominent role when we get to Doomsday. But as it stands right now, very similar to a lot of stuff. We don't know enough about the movie to say whether or not I'm going to like him or not. And also, there's a chance he might change because I might not like him in Thunderbolts now that he'll be associated with them, which makes me uncertain if I'm going to like him in Doomsday or not. Bringing us into the top 5, I have Captain America, Sam Wilson. Obviously, this was another one of those characters. Like, obviously, we're getting Captain America. He's forming the new Avengers. It makes sense. He was warned by Leader that hopefully it means Doom is coming. We still don't know, but whatever. If you want thoughts on that, go watch my Captain America Brave New World review. But as it stands, I think he's really good. And while I did mention that I'm not the hugest fan of Brave New World, Anthony Mackie is such a good actor. He so deserves to get a Captain America trilogy of himself. He is so good as that character, and if they do him right, he can be so good in this movie as well. And I'm really excited to see him again, but as Sans, can't really put him too much higher because there are other characters I am a little bit more excited to see than Sam. At number 4, I have Yelena Belova. Yelena is one of my favorite characters Marvel's introduced post-Endgame. She is such fun in every appearance she has had. Florence Pugh is so good as the character, and there's a lot to enjoy. And the fact is weird is that we haven't even seen her that much. She was in Black Widow, which was basically her movie instead of Natasha's, and then she was a major player in Hawkeye. So hopefully they're gonna be able to keep up that greatness with Thunderbolts, and then after Thunderbolts, they'll be able to accurately assess whether or not I'm happy Elena's in Doomsday or whether I'm not happy she's in Doomsday. It'll come and go. But Elena is so good already in the MCU, one of the better characters they've introduced post-Endgame, and if done correctly, she can be so good in this next Avengers movie. At number 3, I have Thor, the first name they revealed in the live stream, and this is another character that felt like a little, he's the only actual original 6 Avengers that's already announced to be in this movie, which is a little weird, but whatever. But the big concern I have that keeps him from going higher than 3rd place is that I don't know how Doomsday is going to handle him. Thor in the MCU has always been kind of this toss-up character because I don't think they ever figured out whether they want him to be a serious character or a funny character, because he's serious in Thor, Avengers, Dark World, then he's the Joker in Ragnarok, then he's serious again for Infinity War, kind of a joke / serious for Endgame, and then he's just way too much of a joke for Love and Thunder. So I don't know how they're going to handle him in the next Avengers movies. Hopefully with the Russo brothers, they do take him back to that serious side. But also there's that slight chance that we just don't know what they're going to do with the character, especially because like now he has the daughter Love. He's out there in the galaxy. We just don't know what they're doing with the character. So that does keep me from putting him any higher. But hopefully the Russo brothers can recapture the things about Thor that I loved in Infinity War and Endgame and can propel him to be one of the better parts of this movie. At number 2, I have Loki. So happy Tom Hiddleston is going to be in this movie. I love Loki so much. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters. And post-Endgame really shot him even higher than I thought was possible because I loved the Loki series and specifically that version of Loki, which is most likely the one we're going to see in this movie. And there's so many things they can do with the character, like a reunion with Thor that we've all been waiting for, and a ton of other things that's going to be great about Loki. In fact, it's on at least we would have been shocking if Loki wasn't in this movie because he's now literally the conduit holding the entire multiverse together. But because of that, that's what's kept him from first place. Because due to that fact, I doubt we're going to see him much in this movie. Because when you just look at it from a storytelling standpoint, he's now literally sitting on a throne holding the multiverse together. And from what it looks like, he's not going to be able to leave that chair. So unless he's maybe, we don't know what role he's going to play. He could play more of an active threat that maybe has some big fight with Doctor Doom, or he's going to be more of like a watcher type figure where he's watching the battle happening and it could be a sense of Doctor Doom maybe attacks the Fantastic Four's world first. He then heads to the main Marvel universe and the Fantastic Four go with him. The Avengers and Thunderbolts are already on the main Earth and then he's like, they need extra help. I'm going to get the X-Men. So maybe that's what they have him do, or maybe it's more of a like, he's a MacGuffin that Doom's trying to get to, so maybe he's only in like the ending of the movie. We just don't know, and that's kind of what's kept me from putting him any higher, because for how much I love this version of Loki, he is unfortunately stuck almost in one location unless he is allowed to leave it, which didn't seem possible at the end of Loki. So we'll see what they do with this character, but I'm so happy we are getting to see him again. But coming in at number 1 with absolutely no competition is Shang-Chi. He is by far one of my favorite characters they've introduced post-Endgame. I loved his performance. Shang-Chi is one of the better movies that came out post-Endgame, and I loved him so much. The fact that we haven't seen him since, there's been no Shang-Chi 2 or anything that's had him in it, is shocking. Like, what are you doing, Marvel, with this character? The fact that the last time we saw him was What If Season 3 is baffling. That's the first time we saw him again. So hoping Marvel uses him so much more in this movie, because Shang-Chi deserves to have so much thrown at him because he is so good and his actor is so good as well. So if Doomsday can do it right, Shang-Chi is great and he is the character I am most excited to see in Avengers Doomsday. So there you guys have it. My ranking of all 27 currently revealed actors that are going to be in Avengers Doomsday. This is probably not the entire list. In fact, they have confirmed that there are more casting announcements to be revealed. So there's obviously more characters to be revealed. In fact, it's obvious from the chairs, like there's no Spider-Man, there's no Hulk, no Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel. If they're doing the Young Avengers, there's no Wiccan, Speed, Kate Bishop, Cassie Lang. There's none of those characters. Deadpool and Wolverine aren't on the list. So it makes me a little... So there's obviously more castings to be announced. And also, the thing that makes me happy is that if they're willing to reveal half of the original X-Men cast in this movie, there's probably some crazy names that they're saving for the final product. Like they did with Deadpool and Wolverine. They revealed Elektra and X-23 to us early and saved like Blade, Human Torch, and Gambit for the final movie. So hopefully they are able to whip out some amazing cameos for this movie. And there's also just the chance that some of those characters I just mentioned aren't even in the movie and they're saving them from Secret Wars or something. But as it stands, this list is very subject to change, especially as we start to learn more and more about the movie from Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four when trailers start dropping for Doomsday. I'm honestly just so happy that we have hype starting for a brand new Avengers film because it's been so long since we got an Avengers movie, and I'm so excited to see the end of a new era of Marvel as we hopefully venture into a mutant-centric saga. So thank you guys all very much for watching this video. Again, if you want to take your stab at ranking the 27 currently confirmed actors, do so down in the comment section. But without further ado, thank you guys all very much for watching. I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye, guys!